Hey guys, so yesterday we had Sarah's story, right? Um, and we learned, I love it. We learned that Dwight digs holes in the backyard and sits in them. And it was the twist you must learn. And it turned out that Sarah learned the twist and ended up dancing with her grandmother and had a great time. And it was her grandmother had just gotten a divorce. So it ended up being very important for her grandmother, and Sarah felt really good about it. Okay, so moving on to our next chapter. It's another Tommy chapter. So this one's called The Argument About Dwight. All right, let's see here. By Tommy. This part isn't really about Origami Yoda giving advice. It's about an argument Kellen and Harvey and I had about Dwight. I wouldn't bother putting it in the case file, except that to figure out Origami Yoda, I've also got to figure out Dwight. And I've got to figure out if Dwight is trying to trick me for being a jerk to him sometimes. And this is about a time I guess I really was a pretty big jerk. One day at lunch, Lance comes over and sits in Dwight's seat at our table. Now, that wouldn't be a big deal, but we didn't have any extra seats, so Dwight would have to go somewhere else. Dude, I hate to be a butt, but that's Dwight's seat, I told Lance. No, it's not, said Harvey. It's Lance's seat now. Nobody ever asked Dwight to sit here. He just sits here. But I asked Lance to sit here, so that overrules Dwight. Where's Dwight going to sit? I asked Kellen. Hopefully on the other side of the cafeteria, or even better, on the other side of the planet. Dude, said Kellen. He's not that bad. Yes, he is, said Harvey. He is a giant goober. We can't all be perfect like you, Kellen told him. I may not be perfect, but I'm not half as annoying as Dwight, said Harvey. Yeah, you're twice as annoying, said Kellen. So they're having this little fight over they want Lance to sit at their table with them, and they're going to kick Dwight out. And so this must be before all the Origami Yoda stuff. And Kellen's kind of standing up for Dwight. And as you're reading this, I'm kind of wondering if you've had something like this in the past when we were at school with the lunchroom of people kind of fighting over who should sit where, or who's allowed in what group. That's when we saw Dwight come out of the lunch line with his tray. He is always near the end because he sort of wanders around instead of run walking to the cafeteria like everybody else. Here he comes, said Kellen. Lance, you better go. No, said Harvey. Let's vote. I vote Lance. Kellen votes Dwight. Tommy, how do you vote? Well, I said, wishing I hadn't been dragged into it. Maybe Lance should stay? No thanks, said Lance. You guys are all annoying. He got up and left, and Dwight sat down and started poking holes in his hamburger with a straw. I couldn't tell if he was acting weird because he overheard me or because he always acts weird. Just thinking that maybe he had overheard was enough to make me feel kind of barfy for the rest of the day. Result of poking holes in a hamburger with a straw. Now squeeze it out and eat it. Ugh. So I wonder if you can also connect to Tommy feeling bad for saying Dwight shouldn't sit there. So that's the whole story. And I think before we move to the next chapter, it's important to ask, why did they include this short little story of Harvey and Tommy kind of being mean to Dwight? Really more Harvey being mean, right? Kellen stood up for him, and Tommy was kind of caught in the middle. But why did they include this story about them being mean to Dwight? All right, so today is a 2-chapter day, all about Dwight by Tommy with help from Harvey. Why did I vote to dump Dwight? Well, Harvey does have a point about him. In fact, he has a lot of points. Believe it or not, walking around with a paper puppet on his finger all day is not the weirdest thing Dwight does. Not by far. Here are the top 10. They may also be evidence about whether Dwight is just making up the whole origami Yoda thing or not. The 10 weirdest things Dwight does. Number 10. Back in 3rd grade for my 8th birthday, my mom made juice and cupcakes for the whole class. Before anybody gets a cupcake, Dwight takes a big mouthful of juice and someone makes a joke, which wasn't even funny, and Dwight spews the juice all over the cupcakes. So, no cupcakes. Number 9. He lies down on the floor in weird places. Like you'll be looking for a book in the library, and there he is, lying in front of the encyclopedias. Oh, I can picture it. Number 8. One day, Miss Toner sent him to the equipment locker to get a dodgeball for PE. He never comes back. So Miss Toner sent Lance to go get him. Dwight was in the equipment locker, beating on the door and shouting, "Squirrels, come save me!" Lance opened the door for him, and Dwight goes, "Oh, I thought it opened the other way." Oh my God. So he was stuck in the equipment locker and couldn't get out because he was trying to open it the wrong way. He was pushing it shut instead of opening it. Oh, Dwight. Number 7. Last year in 5th grade, he wore the same t-shirt to school for an entire month because he got it for free from someplace. It said, "Biggie size your combo for just 39 cents. Oh my God. He wore the same shirt every day for 30 days. Number 6. He makes a knuckle popping sound that makes a lot of people want to barf. It also happens at the strangest times. Like once, I was giving an oral book report on Dear Mr. Henshaw. The pops are so massively loud that I think he's faking them. I'd love to know how he does it. He just puts his hands up to his chin and all of a sudden, crack. Oh. Number 5. Sometimes when we decide to be nice to him, he acts like a jerk and just says, "Tycho Brahe has a wax nose," or something weird like that. Number 4. Last year, he tried to get people to call him Captain Dwight. Number 3. Captain Dwight wore a cape until Principal Rabsky made him stop. Number 2. When he's not actively annoying us, he's usually sitting there like a hypnotized chicken, staring into space and completely ignoring everyone. Can't you see it? Number 1. One time a Native American came to school to tell us about his traditions. Then he asked if there were any questions. Dwight asked, what did you wear for underwear before Columbus brought regular underwear?" Oh my God. And here's the biggest mystery about Dwight. You can never decide if he does these things to be funny or if he's just totally nuts. Nobody ever laughs with him. So how can he think he's funny? But if he's totally nuts, then how come he can have a normal conversation some days or fold origami or get straight A's in math, but nothing else? The next story is about some of those times when Dwight actually seemed pretty smart, though still very, very weird. And here the squirrel's talking. How did Dwight think we were going to open the door anyway? I like nuts. So, for today's Jamboard, I want you to answer this question. Why did the author spend 2 chapters on Dwight? What is the most important thing we learn from these 2 chapters? Okay, so that's it. We had 1 chapter about how they tried to kick him out of the lunch table. And then another chapter, a top 10 list of the things that make Dwight weird. So I'm asking you, Why these 2 chapters? Why spend all this time on Dwight? Why tell us these specific things? And then, what's the most important thing we learned from these 2 chapters? So, of all we learned about Dwight, what's most important and why? Okay? All right, good luck.